The hour of convening having arrived, all members of the House will please come to the floor and take their seats. All members of the House. All members of the House will please come to the floor and take their seats. I'm going to ask the clerk to ring the bell. We're going to take the morning roll call here soon, so I'm going to ask all members of the House to please come to the floor and take seats. All members. We're going to have the call of the roll. All members present will please vote green to signify their presence in the chamber, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. Doorkeepers will please close the doors and keep them closed. We will have scripture reading and prayer to begin our day, after which we will pledge allegiance to the flag of our country. Our chaplain this morning will be introduced by the gentleman from the 30th House District, Representative Emory Donahue. Representative Donahue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members of the House. I come to you today and want to start off to read a little bit of scripture to you. It comes from 1 Corinthians 10:13. No temptation has seized you except what is common to man, and God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear, but when you are tempted, he will also provide a way out so that you can stand up under it. I come to you today with the privilege of introducing my pastor, a man that in the 10 years has been at my church, Blackshear Place Baptist Church in Flowery Branch, Georgia, has been a mentor of teaching the Word of God. Jeff Crook, his wife Becky, couldn't be here today, and his son Josiah. But his daughter Macy on the right, I'd like in a minute to give her a hand. Jeff became the pastor at Blacksher Place Baptist Church in 2004, and God had blessed the church of 7,000 members with over 3,000 new members since he became our pastor. We've had over 1,800 that's been baptized under his evangelic preaching. Pastor Jeff has been preaching the gospel since a young teen. He is a graduate of the Baptist College of Florida and the New Orleans Baptist Seminary. He has also served as pastor of 2 churches in Florida and 1 in Mississippi. And at this time, I ask you to welcome my pastor, Jeff Crook.
Well, good morning. It's an honor to speak to the distinguished members of the House. Thank you, Speaker Ralston. Thank you, Representative Donahue, for this privilege. I want to read some scripture from the book of Proverbs. Many years ago, someone challenged me about reading a proverb for each particular day of the month. And today we begin a brand new month, the month of March, March the 1st. And the last day of this month, we will be celebrating Easter. And so perhaps maybe you may take that challenge as you begin this new month to read a proverb for each corresponding day of the month. Proverbs is a great book from God's Word for leaders because the book of Proverbs speaks so often concerning wisdom. There are many subjects that are dealt with in the book of Proverbs, but there is one particular subject that I think we often need to be reminded of, and it's the subject of integrity. Integrity. And in our devotion this morning, I want to address that subject. Integrity is everything. Integrity is everything. When you look through the Proverbs, you see numerous scriptures that deal with the subject of integrity. For instance, the Bible says integrity is our security. He who walks with integrity walks securely, but he who perverts his ways will become known. Proverbs chapter 10 and verse 9. Also, the Bible says that integrity will give you direction in your life. And you men and women are seeking direction from the Lord as you lead our great state of Georgia. Integrity gives us that direction. Proverbs 11:3, the integrity of the upright will guide them. Also, Proverbs teaches us that integrity is better than wealth. My friends, integrity is recession-proof. The Bible says in Proverbs 19:1, better is the poor who walks in integrity than one who is perverse with their lips and is a fool. Integrity is the best inheritance. I'm sure that all of you often think about the legacy that you will leave. And the greatest legacy you will leave as a man or a woman or a political leader in our state is integrity. Proverbs 27, the righteous man walks in his integrity, and his children are blessed after him. Also, integrity is irresistible, even to the point that it will create anger for those that don't have it, and they're jealous that you do. Proverbs 29:10 said, bloodthirsty men hate a man of integrity and even seek to kill the upright. Mark Twain, Samuel Clemens once said about integrity, always do right. It will gratify some people and it will astonish the rest. Integrity is everything. Has it ever occurred to you that there are no degrees of integrity? For instance, you don't have a lot of integrity or you don't have a little of integrity. You just have integrity. You either have it or you do not. If you were to define the word integrity, looking at the dictionary, here's some words that would appear. Wholeness, soundness, sincerity, no deceitfulness, being undivided, being truthful, One wrote, integrity is a compass that guides, it is a wall that protects, and it is a glue that binds. One said integrity is who you are when no one's looking. Integrity is who you are in the dark. Integrity is everything. In our moments together, consider how integrity has seemed to vanish in our culture. Psalm 12:1 says, "The faithful have disappeared from the face of the earth." And those that have integrity are actually becoming an endangered species. It is very difficult to find people today that still possess integrity. Does anyone today lead with integrity? That's what we should expect from our leaders. Leaders within our homes, leaders within our churches, leaders within our community, leaders within our state government. But it's getting more difficult to find men and women that still have integrity and do not have a price. The shortage of truthful leaders has thrown our culture into confusion and even crisis. We should expect our leaders to have integrity, and we should pray for our leaders that they will keep their integrity. Does anyone live with integrity today? It's very tragic in our culture how we have become a culture of deceit and greed and slothfulness and entitlement, and it is causing moral erosion in America because we're lacking integrity. The Bible prophesied of a day when truth would be turned up on its ear. Isaiah the prophet said in Isaiah 5, "Woe to those who call evil good and good evil. Woe to those who now put darkness for light and light for darkness, who make bitter sweet and sweet bitter. Woe to those who are wise in their own eyes and prudent in their own sight." Solomon would say in Proverbs that the lack of integrity will destroy you. Integrity has vanished. It should concern us all. Integrity has value. That should capture our hearts and minds today to be men and women of integrity because of the value it brings to your life. The Bible says in Psalm 41:12, "You will uphold me with my integrity." Not only do you keep integrity, but ladies and gentlemen, integrity will keep you. And integrity brings such value to your profession, to your calling, to your responsibilities in this house. Integrity will provide you the value of character. See, when we have character, that means that we are people that have nothing to hide, we have nothing to fear, we have nothing to prove, and we have nothing to lose. Perhaps you remember Sir Arthur Doyle, the author of the Sherlock Holmes mysteries. He used to tell a story how he sent a telegram to each one of his 12 friends. All 12 friends were men of great virtue and held considerable positions in society. This was the message that he sent. This is how it was worded. "Fly at once, all is discovered." Within 24 hours, the story goes, all 12 had left the country. No doubt there was some playful exaggeration here, but the point is generally true that so many people, including professing Christians, are not what they seem to be. But those full of wisdom from above never have to play act. What you see is what you get. They have character. And that's the value of integrity. But there's another value of integrity. You have a clean conscience. You have a clean conscience. Noah Webster said, "Conscience is the most sacred of all property." Remember this about a good conscience. It's being able to look yourself in the eye. Because we need to remember, if you have to leave town, you have to go with you. One wrote, "I have to live with myself, and so I want to be fit for myself to know. I want to be able, as the days go by, to look myself straight in the eye. I don't want to stand with the setting sun and hate myself for the things I've done. One said, a good conscience is knowing that if you knew me as I know me, you would still respect me. And what gives a clear, clean conscience? Integrity. It gives you the value of character and a clean conscience, but also it gives you closeness to God. And every one of us in this chamber today want to be close to God, because as we are close to God, we have God's favor on our life. And God said that the one that has integrity, they have a special favor of God on their life. There are several Bible characters that you remember from children that had integrity, and God blessed them for it. I think about one in particular that resembles many of you. He was a leader in his community. His name was Joseph. And remember, Joseph was raised to a position of prime minister of Egypt, and how God used him in a marvelous way to protect his own people because he kept integrity in his life. But most of all, integrity will give you a lasting impact and legacy. This morning we've considered how integrity has vanished. We've considered the value of integrity, but may we say this in concluding remarks: integrity is very vast. It's very vast. It covers all sphere of life. It covers completely everything about us as an individual, as a husband, as a wife, as a leader in your church where you attend, and as a leader of this distinguished house. And some of the marks of integrity: we need to be truth tellers. We need to be truth tellers. The Bible says in Proverbs 12:22 that lying lips are an abomination to the Lord, but those who deal truthfully are His delight. And so when we have integrity, that means that we tell the truth, even though when it's not politically correct, even though when it may offend people, even though it may make people angry at us. We need to be truth tellers. And remember this: no man has a good enough memory to make a successful liar. If we tell lies, they will eventually catch up with us. And so we need to be who we are at all times. Nathaniel Hawthorne said, "No man can for any considerable time wear a face to himself and another to the multitude without finally getting bewildered as to which is the true one." And so integrity demands that we tell the truth. Also, it demands that we keep our commitments. We need to keep our commitments and be true to our word. What we say, we mean. What we mean, we say. Proverbs chapter 20 and verse 6, most men will proclaim each his own goodness, but who can find a truthful man? And then also integrity means that we will be courageous in our convictions. Proverbs says, the righteous are as bold as a lion. And my prayer for all of you distinguished members of this house is to be courageous leaders and to stand for what is right and to have integrity, because integrity is everything. You remember the story of a very small, quaint community. The man was very respected in the community. He was a business owner. He owned the local meat market, and everybody would patronize his meat market. He was such a man of honesty and sincerity. Well, it was a long day. It was on a Wednesday, and the next day would be Thanksgiving. And he was getting ready to close. He had a wonderful day of business, but he was tired and ready to go home. And so just moments before closing time, one of his best customers walked in. And so he put a smile on his face and he greeted her and said, "Hello there, welcome. I almost closed. You made it just in time." And she said, "Well, I'm so glad. Do you have any turkeys left in the vat?" And he looked down in his vat where he kept all the turkeys, and he only had one left. But he wanted to make a good impression. And he said, "Yes, I have several more." "Well, find me the best one since I'm your best customer." So he fished around in the vat of turkeys with only one turkey in there and looked around. "Not that one, not that one. No, you're my best customer. I've got the biggest one." And he held a turkey up. "How about this one?" And she said, "Well, do you have anything any larger?" "Well, let me see." And he dropped the one lone turkey in the vat again, fished around, fished around. "You know what? I have found, yes, this is much larger. How about this one? Yes, this is it. And she said, okay, but you know, to come to think, we've got more people coming than I thought. I'll take them both. The question is, what did he lose that day? A customer? No, he lost something far more than a customer. He lost far more than even a constituent in his district. He lost his integrity. Distinguished members of this house, guard your integrity, because integrity is everything. Would you stand with me as we pray and we ask God today to help us keep our integrity? Our Father God, we thank you for this opportunity to serve the people of Georgia. But more important, we serve you. We thank you for how you have blessed our beloved state. We thank you, God, for the leadership of this state. We thank you for every leader in this room, and I pray your blessings would be on them and their family. And we pray also, God, for these leaders, these servants of the community, that, God, you would help them guard their integrity and remind them that integrity is everything. Bless this session today, and may they make decisions. May they give leadership under the leadership of Almighty God. This is our prayer, and we pray this prayer in the name of Jesus. Amen. Would you join me as we give Pledge of Allegiance to the flag? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Doorkeepers will unlock the doors. Chair recognizes the Vice Chairman of the Committee on Information and Audits, Representative Williams from the 119th District.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Information and Audits has read the proceedings of the previous legislative day and found it to be correct.
Vice Chairman Williams of the Committee on Information and Audits reports that the journal of the previous legislative day has been read and found to be correct. Is there any objection to the confirmation of the journal? The chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. The clerk will read the resolution establishing the order of business for the day.
Mr. O'Neill, the 146th moves the following be established as the order of business during the first part of the period of unanimous consents. Introduction of bills and resolutions, first reading and reference to bills and resolutions, second reading of bills and resolutions, reports of standing committees, third reading passage, uncontested local bills, morning orders, rules, calendar, privilege resolutions, through the resolution establishing the order of business for this legislative day.
Is there any objection to the adoption of the resolution establishing the order of business for the day? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. First reading of bills and resolutions, the clerk will read.
House Bill 510 by Representative Talton, 147. Bill to be entitled Act Amendment Title 17 relating to proceedings for forfeiture of bonds or recognizances.
Judiciary non-civil.
House Bill 511 by Representative Dempsey of 13th. Bill to be entitled Act Amendment Title 45 relating to state employees' health insurance
Insurance.
House Bill 514 by Representative Randall, 142nd. Bill to be entitled Act City of Macon, City of Payne, Bibb
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 515 by Representative Geisinger, the 48th. Bill to be entitled Act Amendment Code Section 125584 relating to water supply, water conservation.
Natural resources and environment.
House Bill 516 by Representative Coomer, the 14th. The bill will be entitled Act Amendment Title 47 relating to retirement and pensions.
Retirement.
House Bill 517 by Representative Williams of the 119th. The bill will be entitled Act Amendment Title 3 relating to regulation of alcoholic beverages generally.
Regulated industries.
House Bill 518 by Representative Strickland, 111th. The bill will be entitled Act Amendment Code Section 40-6, 163 relating to duty of a driver of a vehicle.
Public safety and homeland security.
House Resolution 528 by Representative Harbin, 122nd. Resolution creating the Joint Georgia Music Industry Study Committee.
Economic development and tourism.
House Resolution 529 by Representative Harbin, 122nd. A resolution creating the House Georgia Music Industry Study Committee.
Economic development and tourism.
House Resolution 530 by Representative Randall, 142nd. Recognize United States military veterans, dedicating an interchange.
Transportation.
House Resolution 531 by Representative Roberts, 155th. A resolution proposed amendment Constitution provided funds derived from sales and motor taxes.
Ways and means.
House Resolution 532 by Representative Powell, 32nd. Resolution requesting United States Army Corps of Engineers utilize adaptive management.
Natural resources and environment.
House Resolution 547 by Representative Wilkinson, 38th. A resolution creating the House Student Scholarship Study Committee.
Higher education.
Senate Bill 10 by Senator Carter the 1st. Bill to be entitled Act Amendment Title 43 relating to registered professional nurses.
Health and human services.
Senate Bill 128 by Senator Miller of the 40th. The bill to be entitled Act Amendment Title 43 Professional Counsels and Social Work.
Regulated industries.
Senate Bill 140 by Senator Murphy of 27th. The bill will be entitled Act relating to property insurance, contract requirements, and rules.
Insurance.
Senate Bill 142 by Senator Miller of the 40th. Bill will be entitled Act Amendment Title 47 relating to retirement.
Retirement.
Senate Bill 199 by Senator Stone, 23rd. The bill will be entitled Act Amendment Act, Board of Education, McDuffie County.
Intergovernmental coordination.
Senate Resolution 413 by Senator Orrock of 36th. Resolution urging adult citizens of Georgia to strongly consider preparing advanced directives.
Health and human services.
Through the first reader.
Second reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
There you go, Ryan.
HB 500 by Representative Trenner of the 85th, a bill relating to the existence of powers of electric membership corporations. HB 501 by Representative Williams of the 168th, a bill relating to general provisions regarding maintenance of public roads. HB 502 by Representative Coomer of the 14th, a bill relating to property owners associations. HB 503 by Representative Trenner of the 85th, a bill relating to public utilities. HB 504 by Representative Pack of the 108th, the bill relating to horns, exhaust systems, mirrors, windshields, tires, safety belts, and energy absorption systems. HB 505 by Representative Powell of the 32nd, a bill to create a Board of Elections and Registration, Madison County. HB 506 by Representative Smyre of the 135th, a bill relating to Superior Courts. HB 507 by Representative Clark of the 98th, a bill relating to dangerous instrumentalities and practices. HB 508 by Representative Black of the 174th, a bill to amend an act providing for the election of members Board of Education of Charlton County. HB 509 by Representative Waits of the 60th, a bill to amend the Fair Business Practices Act. HB 512 by Representative Jaspers of the 11th, a bill relating to dangerous instrumentalities and practices. HB 513 by Representative Houston of the 170th, a bill relating to education. HR 512 by Representative Chanel of the 120th, resolution honoring the life of Mr. Felton L. Hudson, dedicating a bridge in his memory. HR 527 by Representative Caldwell of the 20th, resolution commending the Governor of Georgia for refusing to implement a state health care exchange and requesting continued action for the protection of Georgians from the unconstitutional Federal Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. Senate Bill 115 by Senator Tippins of the 37th, the bill relating to free public instruction. Senate Bill 134 by Senator Carter of the 1st, a bill relating to definitions relative to controlled substances. Senate Bill 137 by Senator Jeffers of the 17th, a bill relating to tax credits for business enterprises in less developed areas. Senate Bill 139 by Senator Miller of the 49th, a bill relating to general provisions for contracts. Through second readers.
Reports of standing committees the clerk will read.
Representative England, 116th, Chairman Committee on Appropriations, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Appropriations had in consideration the following bill of the House, instruct me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendation. House Bill 372, due pass by substitute, respectively presented. Representative England, Chair. Representative Sims, 169th, Chairman Committee on Intragovernmental Coordination, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Intragovernmental Coordination had in consideration the following bills of the House. Instructed me to report the same back to the House. Following recommendation. House Bill 171, 346, 347, 442, 452 do pass, respectively submitted. Representative Sims, Chair. Representative Carter, 175th, Chairman Committee on Governmental Affairs, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, Committee on Governmental Affairs had in consideration the following bill of the House. Instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendation. House Bill 41, do pass by substitute, respectively submitted. Representative Carter, Chair. Representative Roberts, 155th, Chairman Committee on Transportation, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Transportation has consideration following a resolution of the House. Instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendation. House Resolution 411, do pass by substitute, respectively submitted. Representative Roberts, Chair, through the committee reports.
All right, we're about to go on to the local calendar. Third reading and passage of bills on the local calendar. What purpose does Representative Hardin rise? If there's no objection, we will vote on the local calendar as a whole with a recorded vote. What purpose does Representative Gardner rise?
Mr. Speaker.
Just a minute, Representative. We are about to take up legislative measures. Chair is going to ask that all members that wish to participate in voting on the local calendar take their seats and cease conversation. If that's not of interest to you, then there's 3 doors and they exit. Lady may proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I rise to move that HB 347 be taken off the local calendar and considered separately.
The lady has moved that House Bill 347 be removed from the local calendar and voted on separately. Is there objection to the motion? Is there objection? There is objection. All those in favor of the lady's motion that House Bill 347 be removed from the local calendar and voted separately will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Under the rules of the House, this motion requires a majority of the House, requires 91 votes. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the lady's motion that House Bill 347 be removed from the local calendar and voted on separately. The ayes are 54. The nays are 96. The motion fails. What purpose does Representative Flood rise?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that House Bill 171 be removed from the local calendar and voted on separately.
The representative has moved that House Bill 171 be removed from the local calendar and voted on separately. Is there objection? There is objection. There's objection. He waves off. There is no objection. House Bill 171 will be voted on separately. We're going to take up House Bill 171 now. The clerk will read the caption.
House Bill 171 by Representative Riley the 50th. Bill to be entitled Act Amendment Act creating Board of Commissioners, Fulton County. Bill has been before the House Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination. The committee recommends the bill do pass. This bill is being read for its third time.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered on House Bill 171? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of House Bill 171 will vote yes. Those opposed will vote no. And the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of House Bill 171. The ayes are 99, the nays are 54. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. What purpose does Representative Beasley Teague rise?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to ask that House Bill 346 be removed off the calendar and voted on separately, please.
The lady has moved that House Bill 346 be removed from the local calendar and voted on separately. Is there objection? There is objection. The question before, does the lady move? Does the lady move? Lady moves. Question before this House is whether House Bill 346 will be removed from the local calendar and voted on separately. All those in favor of the lady's motion will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the lady's motion that House Bill 346 be removed from the local calendar and voted on separately. The ayes are 57. The nays are 98. The motion has failed. What purpose does Representative Gardner rise? She waves. What purpose does Representative Williams rise?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask the body to reconsider their action.
Question before this House is whether it wishes to reconsider its action in failing to adopt the motion of the lady to remove House Bill 346 from the local calendar. All those in favor of reconsideration will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the gentleman's motion that this House reconsider its action on House Bill 346. The ayes are 51. The nays are 102. This House has not reconsidered its action in defeating the motion that House Bill 346 be removed from the local calendar and voted on separately. What purpose does Representative Beasley Teague rise?
I'd like to ask that House Bill 442 be removed from the calendar and voted on separately.
The lady has moved that House Bill 442 be removed from the local calendar and voted on separately. Is there objection? There is objection. Does the lady move? Lady moves. The question before the body is whether to adopt the motion of the lady that House Bill 442 be removed from the local calendar and voted on separately. All those in favor of that motion will vote yes. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. On the lady's motion that House Bill 442 be removed from the local calendar and voted on separately, the ayes are 56, the nays are 100. The lady's motion has failed. What purpose does Representative Beasley Teague rise?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that House Bill 442 be removed from the calendar and voted on separately. Thank you.
We just voted that one.
452. I'm sorry. 452.
Okay.
Forgive me.
The lady has moved that House Bill 452 be removed from the local calendar and voted on separately. Is there objection? There is objection. Does the lady move? Yes. Lady moves. Question before this House now is whether to adopt the motion by the lady that House Bill 452 be removed from the local calendar and voted on separately. All those in favor of the motion will vote yes. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the lady's motion that House Bill 452 be removed from the local calendar and voted on separately. The ayes are 52, the nays are 103. The motion has failed. The question now before the House will be on the adoption of the local, or the passage of the local calendar, with the exception of House Bill 171, which has already been voted on and passed. Clerk will read the local calendar.
House Bill 346 by Representative Geising of the 48th, Fulton County. House Bill 347 by Representative Riley of the 50th, Fulton County. House Bill 442 by Representative Willard, 51st, Fulton County. House Bill 452 by Representative Jones, 47th, Fulton County. The 4 local bills left on the general counter having been before the House Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination. The committee recommends the same do pass. They're being read today for the 3rd time.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered on the local calendar? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bills? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall the bills on the local calendar, with the exception of House Bill 171, now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bills will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of the bills on the local calendar, the ayes are 100. The nays are 56. The bills on the local calendar having received the requisite constitutional majority, are therefore passed. All right, we're about to go on now to morning orders. If you have signed up for a morning order, the chair is going to ask those members who have signed up to make their way to the front of the chamber. Also going to ask that the morning orders be limited to 2 minutes each. 2 minutes each. Chair recognizes the chairman of the Agriculture and Consumer Affairs Committee, Chairman McCall, for a morning order. Just a minute, Mr. Chairman. The chair is going to ask that the House be in order and give attention and respect to the members in the well on morning orders. Gentlemen may continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today is everybody's favorite day at the Capitol. It's Peanut Butter and Jelly Day. It kicks off March. It's Peanut Month. Peanuts contribute about $587 million on farm gate value to the state of Georgia. But the best thing peanuts do, if it wasn't for peanuts, you wouldn't have peanut butter. And if you smell outside, you'll know what's going on downstairs. If you never have had a fried peanut butter sandwich, you need to go down there and get one. Also, on Tuesday, day 29, the Greater Atlanta McDonald's Operators Association are going to have about 600 either fried or grilled chicken salads and parfaits down in 216 for all of us. We'll be here a long time that day, so I like to come down here and feed y'all, so help yourself today.
Chair recognizes the Majority Caucus Whip, Representative Lindsay, for a morning order. Representative Lindsay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Speaker. Today, we have a resolution that I would invite everyone to sign on to, honoring the Governor's Honors Program, which has been in existence in the state of Georgia for 50 years. For those of you who are not familiar with it, this is a chance to take some of our best and brightest high school students, usually juniors, and they get to spend a summer doing intense study in an area of particular interest that they may have. We have with us today several, hopefully up in the audience, several folks from the Governor's Honors Program. If you could please stand. If y'all could give them a big hand. The Governor's Honors Program, I said, rewards the best and the brightest. I am aware of them making only one mistake in their 50-year history. They allowed me to be at the Governor's Honors Program in 1976 doing social studies. It is a great program. I encourage you, when you go back and talk to high school students in your districts, to encourage them to apply to this program. It is really one of the most life-changing events in my life when I was in high school, and I encourage all of you to participate or get folks in your area to participate as well. I have a resolution honoring the Georgia Honors Program. If you would like to sign on to it, I'll leave it over here and ask for everyone to sign that would care to do so. Thank you very much.
Chair recognizes Representative Brooks for a morning order. Representative Brooks.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This morning we want to recognize the future representatives, future senators, future congresspersons, future judges, future presidents of the United States, future educators, human rights workers. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have a group of students from one of the best high schools in our state, and that's Thurl High School from Southwest Atlanta. I want them to stand, and I want you to give them a warm reception this morning. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, please stand and welcome the students from Thurl High, Southwest Atlanta. And Miss Yvette Lemon is their chaperone today. One of our educators over at Thurl, and Becky from my office is escorting them. They will be in room 514 upon adjournment. Please stop by and meet these great leaders of the future today over at the LOB room 514 at adjournment. Thank you very much.
Chair recognizes Representative Bruce for a morning order. Representative Bruce.
Good morning, everyone. You know, we always talk about people excelling and going the extra mile to be able to overcome the odds, overcome the difficulties, and be successful in spite of. And there's a woman that's in our midst today. She's sitting over by the door. She's in the wheelchair, Judge Stephanie Davis. She is the Chief Magistrate Judge for Fulton County. And on her way back to school, undergraduate school, she was in a car accident, and it paralyzed her from pretty much most of her body. In spite of that, she finished undergraduate school, she finished Emory Law School, and now she's the Chief Magistrate Judge for Fulton County, and I think we ought to give her a round of applause for not giving up. And if you get a chance, please go by and greet her while she's here. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Harbin to introduce the Doctor of the Day. House will come to order, please. House will be at order. Chair is going to ask that you take your conversations outside the chamber. We've got the Doctor of the Day with us, and we have a special presentation immediately thereafter. House will be in order. Representative Harbin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce our Doctor of the Day, Dr. Randall J. Ruark. Dr. Ruark is the Medical Director for Georgia Regents University. Dr. Ruark received his undergraduate degree, y'all don't boo him, from Georgia Tech in electrical engineering, where he spent 8 years of his life being an engineer. Then he decided to follow the calling of medicine, and he went back to the Medical College of Georgia in Augusta, and he is now orthopedic, or he is after practicing private practice for 3.5 years, Dr. Ruark joined the faculty at the Medical College of Georgia, now Georgia Regents University. And he's our Doctor of the Day, specializes in hips and knees, and I've seen the way some of y'all run around over here. Y'all may need to see him later for surgery or surgical advice, but if not, he can help you here, and we're very happy to have you here, Dr. Ruark.
Thank you. As he said, I'm practicing in Augusta, and I'm on the faculty at Georgia Regents University now, formerly Medical College of Georgia. Part of our mission there, as you know, is to train new physicians. And every year we graduate one of the largest medical classes in the country. And also every year, many of those physicians do stay in Georgia to continue their careers here. So on behalf of GRU, I do want to thank you for your support and support of that mission. I also want to thank you for your service to the state. And today, I'm here to serve you, so if I can do anything for you, please come by and see me. Thanks.
House will continue to be in order. Today is Telemedicine Day here at the Capitol, and the chair is pleased to introduce Representative Jason Shaw for a special presentation. Representative Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As the Speaker mentioned, today is Telehealth Day at the Capitol, and the Georgia Partnership for Telehealth was formed to promote improvement in healthcare and healthcare facilities in rural and undeserved communities throughout the state by establishing telemedicine programs. Programs have expanded to include healthcare via telemedicine to nursing homes, schools, jails, clinics, ERs, trauma, stroke, primary care, child advocacy, and continuing education. Georgia's network includes over 200 specialists who represent over 40 specialties. The network saw over 70,000 encounters in 2012. The Georgia Partnership for Telehealth currently has 16 school-based telehealth centers in Georgia, and by the end of this year, they will have over 40 in the network. They provide access to health care via telemedicine and has proven to cut costs on travel and work time and provides quick access to care. Joining us today via telemedicine from Waresboro Elementary School in Waycross, Georgia, we have Dr. Rhonda Williams. And it looks like all the technology is working for us as well today. But Dr. Williams is a University of Georgia alumni. She's a Bulldog and received her medical degree from Mercer University in 1996. She completed her internal medicine residency at Atlanta Medical Center in 1999 and before becoming a partner at Waycross Internal Medicine in 2004. Dr. Williams worked as a house physician for Kindred Hospital Atlanta and a staff physician for WellStar Physicians Group. Dr. Williams, we're glad to have you joining us today via telemedicine.
Good morning, it's good to be here. In the room with me today I have Dr. Barrow, who's our superintendent of schools down here in Ware County, and Millie Thrift, who's one of our nurses in the telehealth office. We have 10 schools which already have the telehealth medicine monitors, and we've used them several times. In the recent weeks, we've actually had several teachers who've used the technology, and we were able to diagnose simple things like sinusitis and upper respiratory infections, get those teachers treated, and they never miss a lick of work. And I think that's the goal, and that makes our superintendent very happy. He doesn't have to hire any substitute teachers to come in. The technology is working very efficiently, and you will see a demonstration which shows clear, concise pictures. And our guinea pig is going to show you here an ear. This is her ear, which she cleaned out for us this morning. It looks wonderful. I see all the landmarks. There's no evidence of infection there. I have no qualms whatsoever about calling that a normal ear. It's a very clear picture. And as you can see, I had, again, very clear picture. It looks like a picture you would take and see in a magazine or in a textbook. No qualms whatsoever about calling that normal. And we're going to see her eye here in a moment. It is, again, a very clear, concise picture. And as you can see, telemedicine is a very strong program, and as a physician, I don't have any problems whatsoever seeing these patients and diagnosing them with this technology.
Well, Dr. Williams, again, we thank you all for joining us through this amazing technology. Dr. Barrow, thank you for all your contributions. I know you're a big supporter of rural health, and I'm proud to get a chance to work with you all. And thank you again for being with us and for what you do for the citizens of the state of Georgia. Thank you all. Thank you.
All right, the chair is going to ask the House to continue to be in order. We're about to recognize some very distinguished Georgians. House will be in order. Chair recognizes the chairman of the Public Safety and Homeland Security Committee, Chairman Alan Powell, for an invite resolution. Chairman Powell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and ladies and gentlemen of the House. You know, today is a very special day, and it's sort of bittersweet. We've got someone here that is very special to us, John Bankhead. For many years, John has been the face of the GBI to the whole state of Georgia. He's been the face of the GBI over here, monitoring and watching what goes on in the legislature that affects law enforcement. But when I say bittersweet, I mean that very literally. It is sweet that John is fixing to retire, but bitter that we're going to lose a dedicated public servant in Georgia. If I could, if the clerk might read the caption to House Resolution 499.
House Resolution 499 by Representative Powell, the 32nd, and many, many other members of this House of Representatives. A resolution recognizing and commending Mr. John G.R. Bankhead, the GBI's Director of Public Affairs, on the occasion of his retirement and his many contributions to law enforcement and the law enforcement profession in the state of Georgia and for other purposes.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Ladies and gentlemen, John is indeed a very special person, and he's joined today with his wife, Barbara, Tracy, his daughter, Barbara, his son, John Jr., son, Ben, and in spirit with his son and daughter-in-law, Jake and Aubrey, that are in California. He's also joined today with our friends and colleagues from the Georgia State Patrol that are in the balcony today. GBI. And also with the faces, the top cop, Vernon Keenan, over here today. If y'all would, give John a hand and let him say a word.
Thank you, Chairman Powell. I certainly appreciate that. I appreciated your support over the years, and definitely appreciated the Speaker's support. He's certainly aware of the GBI's mission and been involved with the GBI for a number of years. I appreciate the support that you've given the GBI over the years, each member of this body. It's been a very unique experience for me, having served in my position over the last 25 years. And to top that off, it became even a more unique experience when I began serving as a legislative liaison some 18 years ago. So combine the two and you've got a very unique experience, which I really appreciated. The job that I had to do was somewhat difficult, but it made it much simpler by the support and dedication of the hardworking employees at the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. They have very difficult tasks that they have to face in carrying out that mission on a daily basis. And so we certainly, I couldn't have done it without their help and support. But there is one person that has provided covered me over the years. And when I came with the GBI in 1977, he was my mentor. He took me under his wing. He supported me and continues to support me. At that time, he was an inspector with the GBI, and it's fortunate for the citizens in the state of Georgia that he eventually rose to the director of the GBI, and that's Vernon Keenan. And I sincerely appreciate his support over the years and his friendship. I end by talking about a very special person, very special people in my life. My wife, Tracy, I'd like to thank. In July, we will be married for 40 years. So I think she probably needs a special resolution. And obviously my kids. I wish everyone here the best. I do appreciate your support over those past 18 years, and thank y'all for coming upstairs. And Sherry will be taking my place. She'll do an excellent job, a better job. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I really appreciate everything.
Chair recognizes Representative Hardin for an invite resolution. Representative Hardin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We have some very, very special young people with us today. As you all know, in the past, I've talked to you a lot about the state YMCA program of the Youth Assembly. And this civic engagement part of the state YMCA also has a United Nations and several other programs that help our young people get a feel for what the governance is really about. I'm glad to have with me this morning, especially Ellen Wilson from Madison, Georgia. Ellen is the youth governor of the state of Georgia at this point. Sutton Trulock from Madison is president of the Senate, and Justin Wallace from Dawsonville, Speaker of the House, Mr. Speaker. And during the Youth Assembly, these young people did a great job. They are also accompanied by Randall Trammell, who is the Executive Director of the State YMCA, and Mark Walker, the Development Director. I'd like to take just a moment to thank all of you who sponsor your seats every year for these young people to come up and learn what this system of government is all about, and especially our Minority Leader Stacey Abrams and Chairman Amy Carter, who always participate in that program. But I'd like for you, if you will, to help me recognize these young people right now. And Ms. Clerk, would you read the caption to the resolution, please?
House Resolution 495 by Representative Harden, 148, a resolution recognizing and commending State YMCA of Georgia Center for Civic Engagement on its many, many accomplishments and for other purposes.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. And now Ellen Wilson will tell you about what Youth Assembly is.
Good morning. I'm Ellen Wilson, and I served as your Youth Governor for the 68th Youth Assembly. I stand before you today in a place that is very familiar to me. Just last November, I joined hundreds of my peers from all four corners of this state in the model state legislature. First, I would like to thank you so much for the privilege and opportunity to have access to this wonderful place. There's no better place to learn how Georgia's government works than where it all happens. Second, many of you financially supported the program through Sponsor Your Seat campaign. Words cannot begin to express our appreciation for your vote of confidence and investment in this program. Being able to debate in these chambers, sit in the desk, and walk down these historic halls have made many students been able to further their pursuit in education and good citizenship. In fact, you'll have an opportunity to once again make such investment in the next few days, and I hope that you'll respond generously. Your gift allows us to get more students in the Capitol and to learn how good government works. Lastly, I want to assure you that there are students all over Georgia who are not only interested but eagerly engaged in learning about how good government works through programs like Youth Assembly. With the examples you set for us to follow, the future looks bright. Thank you so much for your service to the state and your support in public education programs such as this.
We are about to go to the rules calendar. We are about to go on to the rules calendar. House will come to order. Chair wants to announce before we start the rules calendar that House Bill 127 will be postponed to the next legislative day. Chair also wants to announce that House Bill 287 will be postponed to the next legislative day. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 446. House Bill 446.
House Bill 446 by Representative Peake of the 141st. A bill amendment Title 29 relating to guardian ward, provide for certain additional notice requirements for a proposed ward who resided in another state prior to the submission of a guardianship or conservationship petition of the proposed ward to require disclosure in petitions. Bill has been for the House Committee on Juvenile Justice. Committee recommends the bill do pass. This bill is being read today for its third time.
Chair recognizes Representative Peake to present the bill. Representative Peake.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to present to you House Bill 446, and I promise no singing today unless the crowd wants it. This bill simply adds to the adult guardianship and conservatorship statute that in a petition before a probate judge, acknowledgement must be given that identifies any state where the individual for which the guardianship or conservatorship is sought was physically present for 6 months prior to the petition. Also allows discretion by the judge on the service of the notice. The intent of this language is to protect against granny snatching by improving cross-state communications and notice. It actually does happen. This does not make substantive changes to the guardianship law, such as when is it appropriate or who or should be awarded guardianship. It just provides the mechanism for better communication between states. Families often seek guardianship of a person with Alzheimer's when the person is no longer competent. We find that most of the challenges around guardianship involve family members trying to obtain the assets of the person involved with dementia. Sometimes, when money is involved, family members will try to obtain guardianship without other family members knowing about it. Unfortunately, that happens. This bill will simply require that notice be given to persons residing in the state where the individual has lived 6 months prior to filing for guardianship. And here's just a quick example of how this would apply. Let's say your mother's been living with your sister-in-law here in Georgia. You recently learned that your mother has not been receiving her medications, proper medical care, and your sister-in-law is going through her money. Well, you've retired, say, to Florida or North Carolina, and you decide to have the time you want to take care of your mother. You move her in with you, provide the medications for her, take proper care of her. Without this bill, your sister-in-law, while you have your mother, could potentially obtain guardianship here in Georgia without you even knowing about it. But with this bill, you'd be notified of the filing for guardianship and therefore have an opportunity to apply for guardianship and make sure your mother gets the care that she needs. So the Alzheimer's Association supported this effort. And Mr. Speaker, I'll be more than glad to answer some questions, but
you don't appear to have any questions.
Thank you. I ask your favorable consideration, HB 446. Thank you. Yield the will.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered on House Bill 446? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of House Bill 446 will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of House Bill 446. The ayes are 162. The nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 298. House Bill 298.
House Bill 298 by Representative Dickey, 140th, bill to be entitled Amendment Title II relating to agricultural commodities promotion so as to create the Agricultural Commodity Commission for Georgia-grown products. Bill has been for the House Committee on Agriculture, Consumer Affairs. The committee recommends the bill do pass by way of a committee substitute. The bill is being read today for the third time.
Chair recognizes Representative Dickey to present the bill. Representative Dickey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and members of the House. I bring you today House Bill 298. This bill would create the Agricultural Commodity Commission for Georgia-grown products. Under this bill, producers, processors, retailers, growers would be given the opportunity to voluntarily contribute funds that would be used for the advertising, promotion, education, and utilization of Georgia-grown products. These products would be include agricultural, horticultural, floricultural, silvicultural, vegetable products commercially produced here in Georgia. Many of you are familiar with the Georgia Grown logo, and I want to give you a little history on commodity commissions, which are producer funded, no cost to the state. For instance, I'm a member of the Georgia Peach Commodity Commission, And this bill I'm presenting today is patterned much like the other commodity commissions we've had around since the 1960s. And in fact, Chairman McCall told you today about the Peanut Commission providing peanut butter for the PB&J sandwiches today by their commission. So if you don't like this bill, don't get a sandwich today. Commodity Commission dollars are raised only used to educate, promote, and research those different commodities. So today we're talking about the Georgia Grown brand. It was started in 2000 by Commissioner Black, and to raise awareness of Georgia agricultural products. So some examples, what we want to do with this bill is work with food retailers, Georgia Restaurant Association, school system, and the agritourism industry to emphasize Georgia grown products. Again, I want to emphasize this bill is voluntary funded program which will have no state funds appropriated for it. In Section 3 of this bill also increases the number of members on the Cotton Commission from 5 to 7. So with that, Mr. Speaker, I'd entertain any questions.
You've got a question or two if you care to yield.
I'll yield.
Probably a good idea. Chair recognizes the chairman of the Appropriations Committee of the House to your right for a question.
Absolutely.
Gentleman yield.
I do.
I just want to make sure everybody understands that no state dollars are appropriated to the program. It is totally voluntary, and that the dollars used will be used for promotion, and it will be assigned to the Department of Ag, but administrative costs will come out of those funds, so there are no state funds going to the program.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good point.
You have another question or two if you care to yield.
I will. For one
Chair
more.
recognizes the chairman of the Agriculture and Consumer Affairs Committee, Chairman McCall, to your right for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentleman, yield.
I do.
It is not true that this bill has been back and forth and written and fixed and added to get to the perfection that you have gotten it to at this point.
It has. It went through many channels, including the Rules Committee, very, very closely, and we're good bill.
One more, please. I want to make sure that everybody understands that it's not true that this is all voluntary contributions to this, no mandates anywhere.
Absolutely, Mr. Chairman, it is all voluntary.
You got another question or two?
I think I'll yield with that.
I'm sorry?
I think I'll yield well with that one.
Okay. It's up to you.
I'll yield, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman yields the well.
Speaker.
The gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of House Bill 298 will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? Have all members now voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the passage of House Bill 298. The ayes are 161. The nays are 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. The clerk will read the caption to House Bill 284. House Bill 284.
House Bill 284 by Representative Pruitt of the 149th. The bill will be entitled Act Title 20, Quality Basic Education Act, so as to enact the Return to Play Act of 2013 for our public and private schools to provide youth athletic activities, provide information to parents on the nature and risks of concussion, head injury, and establish concussion management and return to play policies. Bill having been for the House Committee on Education, the committee recommends the bill do pass by way of a committee substitute. The bill is being read today for the third time.
We are taking up some important legislative initiatives. This House will be at order. Members will give the members in the well respect and attention. And if you can't do that, then please exit the chamber and take these very important conversations out to the anterooms or the hallways. Chair recognizes Chairman Pruitt to present House Bill 284. Chairman Pruitt.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, House members. You know, we're up here working hard 5 days a week while we're in session, and it's so easy sometimes to get involved in our own legislation and forget about everybody else's. And I'll tell you, the privilege of carrying this particular bill that I'm carrying today makes me prideful of myself and who we are and what we're able to do for the state of Georgia. Some people call this a concussion bill, others calls it a return to play. But this is a very important bill, and I didn't realize how involved I was going to be emotionally until I got involved in it and started meeting people and listening to people and getting emails and phone calls of those who have had experiences in the past that made this opportunity come before us that we need to address. Today, House Bill 284 I bring to you is a result of several years of information that's been gathered that we did not have in the past to allow us to know that there's a need to recognize concussions and the devastating effects it can have on the long-term effect of our children particularly. I'm going to leave a lot of the information out because we've got other people who have signed up to speak on the bill, and I'm going to get right to the gut of the bill. But I do want you to know as I stand here today that the NFL is in full support, the children's health care, and listen to this now. I want you to be sure because I've heard some questions about this. The Georgia High School Athletic Association is also very in favor and supportive of this bill. Now, I've tried to answer everybody's questions that I could get to personally because that's the way I like to do things one-on-one, but I know there's going to be questions and I'll take as many as you'd like for me to take today. But this bill simply allows for local school boards, public and private school systems, to enact a return-to-play policy using 3 guidelines. Keep in mind when I say this, we absolutely do not recognize this as an unfunded mandate. Deliberately worked on this bill very hard with many people, and I guess you can use some of the language that it's been kicked around, batted around, fumbled, passed off, and we're to a point now, as I heard a chairman say, it's real close to perfection. Not that we've ever passed anything in perfection up here. But I appreciate you allowing me to tell you that this bill is really about protecting our kids. 3 things that we're asking in our guidelines that we're mandating to the school systems, and that is, number 1, you educate the parent, provide them a sheet, and it says a sheet. It doesn't say a booklet, it doesn't say a book, it says a sheet, informing them of the consequences and what concussion looks like. The second thing, it tells our coaches and our training staff how to recognize a concussion. And if a concussion is recognized, meaning the fact that somebody is playing or in practice and they actually see signs of concussion, symptoms of concussion, that player must be removed from the game, and they cannot be put back into the game unless a practicing medical physician has okayed the plan as to when they go back and how they go back. And the reason this is so important is because when this is from 7 to 19 years old, that is a critical time where the brain is actually forming, and when you have a concussion at that age, without recognizing it, and you end up with a second hit or a second concussion, those devastating effects can last for years to come or forever. And so we're trying to build a consensus here of how do we protect our kids and make them safe by recognizing concussions and what they do without putting unfunded mandates down on school systems, have the flexibility that each school system can design their own plan, put that plan in place the way they see fit. We're just suggesting that, or mandating that they just include these three things. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I'll ask for any questions.
You have no questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Gentleman has yielded the well. We have some other members that wish to be heard on the bill. Chair recognizes Representative Kaiser to speak to the bill. Representative Kaiser.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members of the House. I'll be as brief as I can, but I'll tell you, much like Representative Billy Mitchell and probably every signer on this bill and my friend Jimmy Pruitt, I didn't realize the extent to which I would be have my awareness heightened and my emotions raised becoming part of this conversation about head injuries in our young people. A few months ago, I was charged with Senator Lindsey Tippins to convene a study committee on just that, concussions and the impact on our youth. And I didn't know at that time whether we would be in months of hearings or weeks of hearings. And I will tell you, with one hearing, the wealth of information and knowledge in that room left us both feeling very confident walking away, knowing that we needed to craft a good piece of legislation that wasn't overly mandating, but was raising the awareness for our coaches and our recreation leagues directors. I don't know how many of you have ever watched a pack of young kids on their bicycles racing toward the finish line, tall, lean, young men and women, girls and boys with their legs racing, and all of a sudden one slight mistake happens and that whole pack goes down. Those kids, though, I tell you, they get right back up and on those bicycles, and all they can think about is that finish line ahead of them with their adrenaline pumping. Well, I witness that every weekend. I have a 14-year-old who does that, and every time the pack goes down, I look for my child, and I can tell you, even as his mother, I probably couldn't talk him out of getting back on that bicycle and heading toward the finish line. However, his coach, with just a little bit of simple information, I'll show you, it's just a form that could look a lot like this. It gives information to that coach, that parent, those kids about recognizing the signs of a concussion. In 2010, there were 12,000 kids approximately treated for non-car related head injuries in our emergency rooms. This bill just asks simply for us to enable the good people who have already done the work, the NFL, the Concussion Coalition, Emory University, and the Centers for Disease Control, to allow us, by codifying this, to help them get the information out to our parents and our kids so we can protect them from further injury when they show any signs of an initial head trauma that could potentially be a concussion. So I ask for your favorable support of this bill, and Mr. Speaker, I yield the well.
You had a question, but you want to yield? It's up to you.
Sure, I'll take a question. I'm happy to take a question.
Chair recognizes Representative Pack to your left for a question.
Maybe I should have yielded.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentle lady yield?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for co-sponsoring this bill. I too have a young daughter who participated in public recreational sports. The question I had was, if the goal is to have these organizations adopt return to play policies, I noticed that in lines 63 to 70, we're pretty much exempting anybody from any kind of liability. So the question I have is, if they don't comply, what is going to happen in terms of trying to enforce the law?
Oh, that's a tough one. I don't have the bill in front of me, but what I would say from a compliance standpoint is the broader reaching effects of this bill are so great that I think a slight bit of non-compliance is probably the least of our worries. I mean, this will expand a way for us to allow these organizations that I mentioned who came and gave testimony to our study committee to further disseminate the information. So non-compliance, that's just going to be a difficulty of the legislation. Do we want to hold our coaches and recreation director, do we want to really hold them liable? It really just mandates that the local systems provide the information. So I don't know how you could really, how you could really judge non-compliance in this issue. This legislation will heighten the awareness to an extent already that we will be protecting. I mean, remember I said there were almost 12,000 kids in 2010 in emergency rooms for head injuries. So if we can decrease that by a small amount, it's worth moving forward with this legislation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Lady has yielded the well. No, Mr. Chairman. There's one speaker that wore the red and black. So our chair recognizes Representative Douglas to speak to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Fellow members of the House, when I was sitting back there, I was wondering when this bill was going to come forward. And I want to speak to my representation of football and my career in football. This bill is very vital to our young people. I've played football for approximately all my life and to this point. And I'm sure I've had a few concussions in my time, but this bill was nowhere to be found. Sometimes I lose my train of thought just thinking about the kids that's coming up right now. I coach at Grady High School presently right now, and this is very vital. Catching this at a lower age preserves the mind. The mind is a terrible thing to waste. So guys, I wish you would have in consideration voting this bill through, because if we can catch this early, I have players right now that I've played against that can't tie their shoes because their mind doesn't tell their body that they need to tie their shoes. And we're fighting this as a major bill, so if we can catch this thing early in our young people, because guess what? As a player, you want to stay on the field. And sometimes I've been knocked out, I couldn't see the sideline, but I want to stay in the game. I had a concussion, but I didn't know it. This bill prevents long-term effects on the mind and the brain. Thank you. I yield the well.
Gentleman has yielded the well. Chair recognizes the chairman of the Education Committee, Chairman Coleman, to speak to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. After that, I don't think we need anybody else, but I tell you, that was a great presentation. But again, I want to thank Representative Kaiser. She took hold of this committee. They did a great job. I want to thank the NFL. I want to thank the high school coaches and all the associations people, and there were hundreds of people. I wish you could have just attended those meetings that attended and testified how important it was to do this. And I think the key thing that I want to say about this whole bill is the word awareness. People, we cannot police everything, but if we can make people aware, just aware that something's happening, and with testimonies and things like this. And I've been told that the NFL will be broadcasting in all of their games and all of their timeouts. They'll be broadcasting comments about this, watch for concussions. And we'll be a leading state there that'll be doing this. All the high school, I've been told that the High School Association will be talking about this. We're going to be broadcasting everywhere. Signs will be going up at the youth associations to encourage these coaches to look at this. So all I want to say to you, this is a great start. This is a great thing to do. It's the right thing to do. And let's remember the word, we're making people aware. There's a problem. We need to be aware of it. We need to help our young people so they can grow up to be fine, upstanding citizens that don't have to live with an injury that was a mistake because, as you heard earlier from Representative Douglas, they just want to get back in the game. Thank you, and vote yes for this bill. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Mitchell, Representative Billy Mitchell, to speak to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I indeed agree with you that this is important legislation, and honestly that we started some time ago last session when the likes of Mr. Arthur Blank and with Mr. Dewey McClain, who's president of the NFL, retired, Players Association, the Georgia chapter. We crafted what we thought was a great solution. So I want to publicly thank those people. I want to thank the speaker for seeing the gravity of this issue and appointing a study committee. Certainly want to thank Chairman Pruitt, Chairman Coleman, and certainly Representative Kaiser for fashioning what we have here before you today. So glad to be able to be a part of bringing what I think is a common sense solution to an issue that needs to be addressed. You know, every now and then we vote on an issue that will have a direct impact on children and our future in our community. This is one of those bills. You have the ability with your yes vote to really save the lives or the injuries of some student athletes here. And this is certainly one of those times when your favorable consideration. So I do appreciate the opportunity, having worked with those. To answer your question, Representative Pack, what happens if it's done? The law at present requires that consumers, parents, and the like receive information anyway. This simply adds a sentence or two to that information. They are already required to receive information. With that, I yield the well and ask for your favorable consideration. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
You had a question if you care to yield. Gentleman has yielded the well. Since the chairman of the committee has already spoken, the chair is going to exercise its discretion to allow Chairman Pruitt to have a few minutes of the chairman's time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I will make this short. And thank you so much for those who have come up and spoken in favor of this bill today, and thank you to all those who have worked so hard. I do want to tell you that I learned a couple of years ago that out of all those people that are incarcerated, now listen to these numbers, this is important. Out of all those that are incarcerated, less than 2% have ever played team sports. That tells you how important it is to have sports in high school, and it really helps define who an individual is socially. And so we want to support these kids, so we want these programs to stay in place. And today I ask you two things. One, if you knew the definition of politician, if you could look it up, and it would say to you, it should say the definition should say the ability to compromise. It should not say the ability to dictate. And that's what I've tried to do with this bill, is put it to a point to where we all could compromise and come up with something that we all could support. And lastly, tomorrow I want the headlines to read that this board turned solid green with WISE supporting the youth and all the programs that we have in our high schools, our youth athletes. And with that, I appreciate your favorable consideration. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
You had questions. Do you care to yield? Gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered on House Bill 284? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the passage of House Bill 284. The ayes are 161, the nays are 7. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 253. House Bill 253.
House Bill 253 by Representative Quick of the 117th. The bill being entitled Act by the Future Elections. Office Probate Judge, Athens, Clarke County, shall be nonpartisan elections. Bill has been through the House Committee, Intergovernmental Coordination. The committee recommends the bill to pass. The bill is being read today for its third time.
Chair recognizes Representative Quick to present the bill. Representative Quick.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, it is my privilege again to rise on behalf of the unanimous Athens delegation to ask for your favorable consideration of House Bill 253, which is local legislation applying only to Athens, Clarke County, which would make future elections of the probate court and the probate judge of Athens, Clarke County nonpartisan. The legislation recognizes that judges do operate within a code of conduct which prohibits political activity normally associated with partisan races and partisan politics. And again, this applies to Athens only, and I ask for your favorable consideration. Mr. Speaker, if there are questions, I'll take them. If not, I'll yield the well.
You have questions. Do you yield?
I do, sir.
Chair recognizes the Majority Caucus Whip, Representative Lindsay, to your right for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the lady yield?
Reluctantly, I will.
I was just wondering whether or not you're related to Jay Roberts, because you snuck out of the well yesterday on your first bill, just like he snuck out of the well the other day.
The gentleman knows of what he speaks.
I'm still trying to get an answer. Have you ever been to Albany or down to Tift County? Because we're still trying to figure out how they messed up who Tift County was named after.
Well, it's a great place, a great part of the state, but I'm not sure how the mistake happened. I think Chairman Roberts handled that very ably and capably. I'm glad he solved that mystery for us.
Given your rather scandalous departure from the well yesterday, should we not look very questionably upon the merits of this bill?
Given my law degree from the University of Georgia and the fact that I bleed red and black, I hope I'll get a pass, Mr. Whip.
Well, we both bleed red and black. Congratulations on your bill.
Thank you.
You have a number of questions. Do you yield?
Yes, sir, I will.
Chair recognizes Representative Kirby to your left for a question.
Will the gentlelady yield?
Yes, sir, I will.
You say you bleed red and black. How does that stand with your degree from Auburn?
War Eagle. And I learned the error of my ways, Representative Kirby.
You have some more questions? Do you yield?
Yes, sir.
Chair recognizes Representative Kaiser to your left for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does my friend from my great hometown of Athens yield? I do.
Representative, I was trying to find out from some of your delegation members why this was not a local bill, and I'm concerned that you may be trying to circumvent the local mayor and commission of Athens.
I would never circumvent the mayor and commission. As you know, Representative Kaiser, your mother, my mayor, and my constituent, Mayor Denson. And I further note that the notice was duly published and no objection was received from any citizen. And at least 3 of my commissioners will be here shortly, so you can confirm that yourself. But we're not trying to pull a fast one, and it's here for all this excitement because this, although it's a matter of local legislation, because it involves an election, you've got to vote on it. So
well, I'm sure I'll hear from your mayor if I don't.
I'm sure you will, instantly.
You have another question if you yield.
Certainly, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Representative Welch to your left for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does Gentlelady yield?
I do.
I was concerned about the bill for this purpose. You had mentioned that the probate judge would not be permitted under the rules of ethics to attend any political functions. Is that correct?
The probate judge is not permitted to attend any functions that are partisan in nature. That's correct now, currently, even though it's a partisan position. So the canons of ethics apply with or without a nonpartisan or partisan election.
Does the gentlelady further yield?
I do.
What I don't see in the bill is a prohibition on any probate judge from Athens, Clarke County from attending any Georgia Tech football games.
I'll entertain a friendly amendment if it's the will of the body.
So moved.
Mr. Speaker, I yield the well if I have permission to do so.
You have no further questions. Lady has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the passage of House Bill 253. The ayes are 134, the nays are 24. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 71. House Bill 71.
House Bill 71 by Representative Riley, the 50th. The bill will be entitled Act Amending Code Section 47-20-83 relating to certificated, uncertificated forms of investment, real estate investments, so it increased the total percentage of investment permissible in the real estate investments for the Georgia Municipal Employees Benefit System and any association of like political subdivisions. Bill has been for the House Committee on Retirement. The committee recommends this bill do pass. This bill is being read today for the third time.
Chair recognizes Representative Riley to present the bill. Representative Riley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to bring to you House Bill 71, which amends state law by increasing the allowable allocation in real estate from 5 to 10% for the Georgia Municipal Employees Benefit System. This increase in real estate allocation will provide for further diversification, enhanced return over time, and protection against inflation for the GMEBS Retirement Fund. This increase in real estate is consistent with real estate sector allocation for other retirement system plans nationwide. Mr. Speaker, I ask for favorable consideration from the body.
You have no questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Lady has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of House Bill 71 will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the passage of House Bill 71. The ayes are 150, the nays are 13. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 349. House Bill 349.
House Bill 349, Representative Golick of the 40th. Bill to be entitled Act amending Title V relating to appeal, certiorari by the state in criminal cases to provide the state with more direct appeal rights. This bill having been for the House Committee on Judiciary and Non-Civil. Committee recommends the bill passed by committee substitute. The bill is being read today for its third time.
Chair recognizes Chairman Golick to present the bill. Chairman Golick.
Thank you, Mr. Well, you really have to work to get this thing. That's a great start. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House, and on behalf of Governor Nathan Deal, thank you for the opportunity to present House Bill 349 for your consideration. 2 years ago, Chairman Neal introduced House Bill 265, which set up the Special Counsel on Criminal Justice Reform. That council worked throughout the year in 2011 and produced a set of recommendations that in large part nearly completely became the basis of House Bill 1176, which this body, which the General Assembly enacted last year. The Special Counsel went on with its work in 2012 and produced a set of recommendations. The first part of those recommendations were much needed reforms for our juvenile justice code, and those recommendations were in the form of House Bill 242 that this House unanimously, I believe, approved yesterday with Chairman Willard shepherding that piece of legislation. House Bill 349 represents the second set of recommendations of the Council's 2012 work, and they relate to further reforms that we can make in the criminal justice system as it relates to adults. What I thought I'd do is just quickly run through the bill on a section-by-section basis. I do have a summary that I've placed on your desk on my stationery if you'd like to follow it or not. But in sections 1 through 3, that grants the state the right to appeal a pretrial ruling made excluding evidence. The language in those sections represent negotiated agreement between the prosecution community and the Council of Superior Court Judges and the administration. There are certain time frames that have to be adhered to in order to exercise that right to appeal, and again, that is agreed upon language. Sections 4 and 5 of the bill go to the real heart of the matter of this particular bill. It allows a judge to use his or her discretion to depart from a minimum mandatory sentence for drug trafficking up to 50% in certain circumstances, and those circumstances are defined in lines 200 to 206 that reflect an approach taken in the federal system. And this is important. If a defendant meets all of those conditions, again, as set out in lines 200 and lines 200 to 206, then the judge may, and that's a key word, may reduce the defendant's sentence. Additionally, the judge may reduce the sentence if the prosecutor and the defendant in a drug trafficking prosecution have agreed to a sentence that is below the minimum mandatory. Regardless if it's an agreed upon negotiated plea between the prosecutor and the defense, or if the defendant qualifies under the conditions of lines 200 to 206 and the judge reduces the sentence no more than 50%, regardless of which circumstance may be at play, the defendant in that situation will serve every single day of that sentence, and that is not parolable. And I want to make sure that's very clear going forward. Also in Section 4 of the bill, we had a case that came out of the Supreme Court called Wilson versus State last year. And the way our statutes are written, the Supreme Court interpreted it very literally to say that in order for the state to have a prosecution on an individual regarding drugs, the state had to prove that the defendant had actual knowledge of the weight of the drugs, which is to say if an individual is prosecuted for, let's say, trafficking and or having 9.5 kilos of cocaine, the way the statute is written currently, according to the Supreme Court, the prosecution will have to prove that the defendant knew the exact weight of those drugs. Well, of course, that results in an absurdity, and therefore a statutory fix had to occur. The changes in the bill reflect the fact that the person does not have to have subjective knowledge of the actual weight of the drug in order to be found guilty under the statute, and that intent is further clarified in one of the amendments that I'll get to in a little bit. Section 6 clarifies the definitions of active probation supervision and unsupervised probation. Right now, the Department of Corrections has a responsibility in these situations, even in this unsupervised probation context. That creates very much of a resource issue for them, and their resources and energies are much better used in those situations where active probation is necessary. And so it clarifies the definitions of where Department of Corrections has responsibilities on unsupervised probation. I want to make sure it's very clear that an individual, even if they're on unsupervised probation, still has to adhere to the conditions of their probation. If they do not adhere to the conditions of their probation, and they are subsequently arrested and or convicted, then they could have the balance of their sentence revoked as in any other probation situation. I want to make sure that's clear. Sections 7 and 9 grant discretion that's very similar to the minimum mandatory as it relates to drug trafficking. But it grants discretion to the court for departure from a minimum mandatory sentence for a serious violent felony, but only when the prosecutor and the defendant agree on the reduction of the sentence. And again, if the sentence is reduced, we have truth in pleading. They still will serve every day of that potentially reduced sentence. And again, in a serious violent felony, that occurs only if the prosecutor and the defense agree. Why are we making that more stringent than in the drug trafficking situation? Because it's a serious violent felony, and it has to be more stringent. Section 10 of the bill creates the Georgia Council on Criminal Justice Reform for the purpose of periodic comprehensive review of our system of criminal justice. That's fairly straightforward. Section 11 I'm going to skip for a moment and come back. And sections 12 to 15 provide that a judge may allow for a limited driving permit for a defendant or participant in a drug court or mental health court program to use that as an incentive, a reward for compliance with the terms of the drug court program. And it also provides that the Department of Corrections shall assess a fee from a probationer for their ongoing drug screening. As it relates to the limited driving permit, this body passed Senate Bill 236 last year, which allowed for that type of limited driving permit in a DUI court, but we did not do it in the context of a drug court or a mental health court, and this goes ahead and fills that gap. Ladies and gentlemen, you have two amendments that are on your desk. The first one is AM 292151. These are all cleanup technical amendments which clarify and frankly, more artfully word the intent of the bill. There are no substantive changes in that. They just simply clean up and make for a better presentation of the substantive points of the legislation, with the exception of one, and that is in Section 15A of the amendment. Again, Section 15A of the amendment, lines 40 to 47. Right now, the State Board of Pardons and Paroles has certain powers under the Constitution and our statutes, and they can go ahead and parole an individual who has who is entirely incapacitated. But there's no language anywhere that we can see that gives guidance as to exactly what that means. What this language will provide in lines 40 to 57 is some guidance as to what should be considered as it relates to the definition of debilitating terminal illness and entirely capacitated, and again, giving guidance in that particular section. That comes at the request of the governor's office, and so it's included in the bill. With that, Mr. Speaker, I'm sorry, there's another amendment. It's AM 292153, and this goes back to Section 11 of the bill. Section 11 of the bill. What Section 11 of the bill provided is it expanded the use of the child hearsay exception in order to allow for the statement of a child who witnessed another child in a sexual abuse situation and then stated what they saw to another individual, for that hearsay exception to be used in court, which I think we'd all agree and is a very positive expansion of the child hearsay exception. However, in the drafting of that particular provision of the bill, some wording was included that could muddy the water as it relates to the use of the child hearsay exception in certain civil contexts, including child deprivation cases. I want to thank Representative Regina Quick, who pointed this out to us last night, and the circumstance of it was such that we were not able to go ahead and perfect an amendment in time for floor debate today. So out of an abundance of caution, I'm just going to ask you and the fellow signers of the amendment that's on your desk to go ahead and strike that section. We'll continue to work on it over on the other side in order that we not have any unintended consequences kick in. But I want to thank again Representative Quick for her eagle eye on that. With that, Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any, and would ask for your favorable consideration of House Bill 349.
You have a question, do you? Chair recognizes Representative Dukes to your left for a question.
Mr. Chairman, will you yield?
Yes, sir.
I was going through the bill and it has something, it mentions, is it not true that it mentions something about driver's license? And I am trying to understand exactly what is,
sure,
what is addressed.
Sure. What, that's in sections 12 to 15 of the bill. What it will allow a judge to do is to issue a limited driving permit to a defendant / participant in a drug court program as an incentive for their compliance in the rules of the drug court. What we have found and heard from our judges who run these drug court programs is that it's a tremendous incentive for them to go, for the individuals to get a limited driving permit, and so they use that as part of the incentives for compliance in that program. We've seen it be very successful in DUI court programs, which we passed last year, but we don't have it in the drug court programs, and this will allow for that to occur. There's no mandate that the judge will go ahead and allow them to have that limited driving permit. It just gives the judge the discretion to award that.
Would the gentleman further yield?
Sure.
Can you explain to me what is the logic behind taking a person's license if they have been convicted of a drug offense?
Well, I guess it'll end up, I think the direct answer to that is it depends on what other charges there may have been associated with their probably larger charge. If I had to go ahead and speculate, in situations like that, you're probably going to have an individual, a defendant, who's going to have a laundry list of charges attached to one piece of general piece of criminal conduct. Loss of that license may, be a part of that. But if they're in a drug court program, this will allow them to get that limited driving permit back as part of their drug court program.
The reason I ask is it not true that when people are coming out of the program as far as being on probation and parole, one of the impediments to them being able to gain employment and to get back and forth from work is the fact that we have taken their license and they're getting a $9, $10 hour job, and it takes about $1,000 to be able to get your license back.
That's right, and getting back on the road to, on the straight and narrow, part of that is working. Well, you can't work if you don't have the driver's license. So this is part of that common sense approach that we're trying to make our way back to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have other questions? Do you care to yield?
Yes, sir.
Chair recognizes Representative Atwood to your left for a question.
Will the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
I want to applaud you for bringing this legislation, but isn't it true that the Prosecuting Attorney's Council of Georgia supports this legislation?
Yes, sir, that is true.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Holcomb to your left for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
Can you, I understand what line 87 means, but can you elaborate a little bit more on the legislative intent behind that?
The way I read that, Representative Holcomb, I always read that in terms of the real world as, it shall be liberally construed to effectuate the purposes stated in this chapter. I don't know exactly how one can enforce that with a court, but I think it gives guidance more than anything else to do what's necessary to go ahead and effectuate the intent of the legislature in terms of making the mechanics, especially on the deadlines for filing of the appeal, what has to be filed, when it has to be filed, and to do that within the confines as prescribed by the legislature.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Kidd to your left for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
To follow up on an earlier question, that after someone has the DUI and after he's completed the course, he's able to get his driver's license back for the intent of being able to go get a job. But the DUI remains on his record, does it not?
Yes. I mean, I guess it depends on the circumstances. There may be first offender treatment involved. There may be some diversion program involved. I think it's going to hinge on the particular facts of the case. I would say that individuals who are in a DUI court program, as many of our jurisdictions now have, they would be able, the court would be able to grant those individuals a limited driving permit as part of their DUI court program. That is existing law as we passed and enacted last year.
Yes, sir. Because further yield?
Yes, sir.
And obviously you know where I'm coming from on this because we talked about it a little bit earlier relative to another one. But if the DUI stays on the person's record, then there are a lot of jobs that aren't available to them because possibly there are a lot of jobs that aren't available to him because they has a DUI.
That's a possibility.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You have another question if you care to yield.
I'll take it, Mr. Speaker.
The Vice Chairman of your committee, Chair recognizes Representative Pack to your left for a question. I assume this one will be friendly. I don't know.
I assume nothing, Mr. Speaker.
Or do I?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the chairman yield?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, isn't it true that the discretion that this bill would give to the judges in limited circumstances to depart from mandatory minimum is a very conservative concept in the sense that it's efficient in allowing the judge to tailor a sentence for the maximum amount of public benefit and to apply that to specific facts to a defendant?
That's exactly right, and thank you for the question. And just to give a little more detail on that particular aspect, if you look at lines 200 to 206, as I think I set out, the number of people that would affect who would meet just the condition of not having a prior felony conviction constitutes less than 5% of all the individuals who are in our state system today for drug trafficking. When you use the other criteria, they were not the leader of the criminal conduct, no possession or use of the weapon involved, no serious harm to any other individual. The number of those individuals who are even eligible for a reduction, which is not to say they'd get it, but even would be eligible for a reduction, goes down even further. And that's on purpose because we want any reduction, any potential reduction, to be very narrow, very limited. Why? Because you're going to have those situations, and we've heard this from our Superior Court judges across the state, as the gentleman knows, you're going to have those very limited circumstances where there may, and may is the key word, there may be situations where an individual caught up in criminal conduct who meet all of those criteria it may not warrant the facts of that case, to use the gentleman's point, the facts of that case may not warrant 10 years minimum mandatory in the state system. It may warrant 5, it may warrant 7, it may warrant another number, but it could warrant 10. That's going to be up to the judge. Of course, that's why we have judges to make those decisions on a case-by-case basis. And I appreciate the gentleman drawing that out of me.
I would like to thank you, Mr. Chairman, for all your work on 1176 and also this bill and the work of the Special Counsel on Justice Reform.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Speaker, I'm going to go ahead and yield the well. And
you have no further questions.
Thank you, and I ask for your favorable consideration on House Bill 349.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered on House Bill 349? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. We have a couple of amendments. Is there any objection to adopting Amendment AM 292151? The chair hears none. The amendment is adopted. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute as amended? We have another amendment, and that is AM 292153, the Golick Amendment. Is there any objection to adopting Amendment AM 292153, the Golick Amendment? The chair hears none. The amendment is adopted. Now, we have the committee substitute before us as amended. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of House Bill 349 will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the passage of House Bill 349. The ayes are 163, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 437. House Bill 437.
House Bill 437, Representative Willard, 51st. The bill will be entitled Act by Selection, Chief Judge, Atlanta Judicial Circuit. Bill having been for the House Committee on Judiciary. Committee recommends the bill do pass. Bill is being read today for the third time.
Chair recognizes the chair of the House Judiciary Committee, Chairman Willard, to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me explain some of the background to my colleagues on this bill. The Atlanta Circuit of the Superior Court consists of 20 judges. It's the largest Superior Court circuit in the state. And this past year, there was a commission set up by the chief judges of the state court and the Superior Court, which I was fortunate to serve on, to look at some things that may help in the operation of our court systems in Atlanta and Fulton County. And one of the recommendations that came out of that commission was to have the chief judge, which we already have, provided certain statutory ability that will assist in the management of the court as well as management of the services within the courthouse. One of the major things that we've had as issues over the years is who has a responsibility of governing certain things, such as the assignment of courtrooms. And the issue is, I think, very tragically brought to our attention with the shooting a number of years ago of one of our judges as a person on that court. That was a non-secure courtroom that took place. So we're limited by the number of courtrooms. As an example, we have to have someone who can say, for certainly criminal cases, there has to be an assignment for use of a courtroom by the judges when they're trying criminal cases. That's one of the provisions in the power here. I'll go through the sections with you. Section 1 is only doing what is already the practice of the court in the selection of the chief judge in Fulton County. That is, the chief judge is elected by the other judges, and that judge is elected for 2 years terms, and they have the right to serve 2 consecutive terms. So what was set out here is the already existing way by which the judges are elected. Section 2 is a provision I'm talking about that sets out what we call the duties and responsibilities of the chief judge. It is taken from some provisions that we found to be very well done out of Florida. We modified them to our own needs. Florida has had statutory provisions for chief judge for some time, and we felt it's important when you have a size of the court that we have in Fulton County that these powers be specifically, or duties be specifically set forth. With that, Mr. Speaker, I will ask my colleagues' favorable support of House Bill 437, and I will yield the well.
You have no questions. Gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of House Bill 437 will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of House Bill 437. The ayes are 163. The nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 99. House Bill 99.
House Bill 99, Representative Spencer, the 180th bill being Title 3, relating general provisions regarding malt beverages, so as change the amount of malt beverages may be produced by a person in his or her private residence. The bill having been for the House Committee, Regulated Industries. The committee recommends this bill do pass by way of a committee substitute. The bill is being read today, third time. What you got, Doc?
Chair recognizes Representative Spencer to present the bill. Representative Spencer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I bring to you this morning House Bill 99. House Bill 99 essentially legalizes homebrew competitions in the state of Georgia. Currently, the way our code is written, transport of homebrew is not allowed under our law. So what House Bill 99 will do is allow for the transport for the specific purposes of homebrew competitions, and it also expands the amount of personal homebrew one can make on their own private residence. The federal law, it allows homebrew to be made up to 200 gallons per calendar year. So Georgia's law only allows for 50 gallons in a calendar year, and it brings that amount up to the federal level before taxation can occur. So one of the main reasons why I brought this bill forward is constituents of mine who do compete in homebrew competitions across the board in the state of Florida felt like that this was something that Georgia was missing out on. The craft brew industry in the state of Georgia is growing and having a positive impact in terms of economic development. So many home brewers and pub brew owners get their start as home brew makers and hobbyists. So this would essentially allow for that creative process to occur and exchange information of recipes at these competitions. And also, the American Home Brewers Association National Conference is about 3,000 entries a year, and hopefully with the passage of this legislation we can attract the homebrew competition here in Georgia and lead to a very good positive economic impact for our state. So Mr. Speaker, that is pretty much the bill in a nutshell, and I will yield for any questions.
You do have a question. Do you yield?
Yes, sir, I will.
Chair recognizes Representative Harrell to your left for a question.
Will the gentleman yield?
I do.
Representative Spencer, is this in fact your first time in the well presenting a bill?
If the gentleman so states.
And Representative Spencer, are you in fact the last of our class to present a bill from the well?
They did save the best for last. Mr. Speaker, if there are no other questions, I'll yield the will.
Have other questions? Do you yield?
I'll take one more.
Chair recognizes the chairman of the Juvenile Justice Committee, Chairman Weldon, to your left for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the gentleman in the well, will you yield?
Yes.
Is it not true that you have personally engaged in the use and imbibing the home brew concoctions?
Will you repeat the question?
Isn't it true that you have used these home brew concoctions and regularly engage in the testing of such libations?
That is up for each member to decide for themselves.
Well, if the gentleman will further yield for one more question.
Yes.
Wouldn't you think that you may have a conflict of interest in this matter, since you're bringing this bill, carrying this bill, in addition to engaging in this conduct?
Not at all.
Thank you.
I yield the will. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
You have other questions if you...
I'll take one more.
You know, those are famous last words sometimes. Chair recognizes the Majority Caucus Whip, Representative Lindsay, to your right for a question.
I have, will the gentleman yield?
I do yield.
I've read your bill closely, and I'm just sort of curious. Have you ever actually consumed 25 gallons of beer in 1 quart?
No, but I have treated patients in the emergency department who have. It's not a pretty sight.
Congratulations on your first one.
Thank you.
In 25 minutes, it'll be noon, Representative Spencer, so... Gentleman's yielded the will. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. For what purpose does Representative Chokas rise?
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to House Rule 133, I would like to be excused from this vote.
Gentleman has that right. Gentleman certainly has that right. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of House Bill 99 will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the passage of House Bill 99. The ayes are 151, the nays are 4. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 21. House Bill 21.
House Bill 21 by Representative Oliver, the 82nd. Bill to be entitled Amendment Title 19, relating to general provisions relative to adoptions to provide for post-adoption contact agreements. Bill having been for the House Committee on Juvenile Justice, the committee recommends bill passed by way of a committee substitute. Bill's being read today for the third time.
Chair recognizes Representative Oliver to present the bill. Representative Oliver.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Chairman Meadows, for the opportunity to bring for your favorable consideration House Bill 21, which strengthens Georgia's adoption law, provides additional options for families in the happy experience and the family building experience of adoption. This bill is supported by the Association of Adoption Agencies and the Association of Adoption Lawyers, but more importantly to me, it's in respect to the birth mothers that I've talked to over the last 30 years of my law practice who are making decisions for adoption, making decisions to give life, making decisions to give birth. The history of our child welfare system is relevant to, of course, how we got here today in our system of finding permanent homes for children. And Travis, I would like to ask you to bring a photograph up for the screen. The first formal way in which our child welfare system was begun was the orphan trains, beginning in 1854 to 1929. Orphan trains were designed by Charles Loring Brace as a way to take the children who were abandoned on the streets of New York City and Philadelphia and Boston and put them on a train and take them to the Midwest to be adopted into families for farm work, to be adopted into families. A former senator in my service told me that his great uncle was put on an orphan train out of Philadelphia when he was a young child. The orphan train experiment ended, and the next big phase was the large institutional orphanages. Decatur Methodist Children's Home in my area was a very prominent, successful, traditional orphanage for over 50 years. But beginning in around 1960, federal law created the foster care system, which brings us through today as to our primary child welfare system. The largest number of adoptions in Georgia, about 1,000 a year, come from our foster care population. Over 85% of foster care children are adopted into their foster care parents' family. And as we know, those are generally children who are older and who know their birth parent in many ways. The change in adoption law in giving more respect to parents and more respect to children is set forth many of the principles in the bill today, which is voluntary, which is not mandatory, but allows adopting parents and birth parents to enter into post-adoption agreements for the purpose of benefiting the child. For instance, one primary focus of a post-adoption agreement is the exchange of medical information. That is essential for all of us. Other information they may choose to share, this is voluntary, relates to ongoing information about the child, pictures, letters. The most consistent question that a birth mother has asked me over my years of experience is, will this child ever need me? If this child dies, will I know? Fascinating to me that that was her greatest need. I want to thank Chairman Weldon and thank Subcommittee Chairman Welch for all the work and participation, active work on this bill. We spent about 4 hours and heard from a lot of people. And the specifics of this agreement, this legislation that allows folks to enter into agreement, again, is based on a voluntary decision, is based on a wish to exchange information or visits even. Some parents do that. And I will tell you that that is the norm at this point. Modern adoption law is based on the internet. It has changed the way people find each other. Largest number of adoptions are foster care. The second largest number is independent, private adoption. And today, the smallest number of adoptions come through adoption agencies. The traditional adoption agencies like Catholic Social Services and Jewish Federation are no longer in business. The small adoption agencies complete the fewest number of adoptions in Georgia. Thank you again to my Chairman Weldon and to Chairman Welch and to all of the folks that assisted me with this bill. I ask for your favorable consideration, and I'm happy to answer questions.
You have a question, do you yield?
Yes, sir.
Chair recognizes Representative Brockway to your right for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentlelady yield?
Yes, sir.
Friendly question. Isn't it true that more and more research is coming out showing that open adoptions are in the best interest of the child and help create a healthier atmosphere for the child?
It's absolutely true, and it's particularly true of stopping and limiting the limbo that children are in when their adoption is contested. Foster care children need permanency. Our policy of a strong family life is based on permanency. Thank you for that question, Representative Brockway.
You have no further questions. The lady has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of House Bill 21 will vote yes. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of House Bill 21. The ayes are 157, the nays are 3. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 441. House Bill 441.
Do this and we get House Bill 441, Representative Willard of 51st, a bill to amend Title Act for the administration of the budget, Superior Court, Fulton County. Bill having been for the House Committee on Judiciary. The committee recommends the bill to pass. This bill is being read today for its third time.
Chair recognizes the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Chairman Willard, to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, this is another bill dealing with the Fulton County Superior Court, and all it is doing is very much what we've already done with our own state judiciary. That is, we allocate funds to the judiciary as a separate branch of government. They have the oversight as to the funding. It doesn't mean they control how much they're going to get. That is still under control of the Board of Commissioners, but what they do is they'll make their request of what will be the funds necessary to operate the Superior Court for the ensuing calendar year or fiscal year. And from that, the county makes a determination of what they need once it's in the funds, might say, declared for that use. If there is a need to make adjustments in personnel, other locations, other changes, they can do so within their budget amounts, and they will report back to the county government what they have done. This is really the way most courts operate. Is a more efficient way than trying to go through a somewhat convoluted bureaucratic process where you make a request, have to wait for changes to occur during mid-year. So in order to make, again, the efficiency of the courts in Fulton County operate better, this was one of the recommendations that came out of the commission that was set up by the two courts and operated this past year. It came up with recommendations. This is one of them. I ask for your favorable support of House Bill 441. Thank you.
You have no questions.
Thank you.
Gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of House Bill 441 will vote yes. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of House Bill 441, the ayes are 158, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Chair is going to ask the members of the House to continue to be at order. We've got some more business to take up, and you may have an interest in some of it. Chair recognizes the majority leader to present a resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, if I can get the clerk to put up what will be our second adjournment resolution, which should be LC 256199. Under our first resolution, if you'll recall, we were resolved to be in the first 29 legislative days, which took us through this coming Monday, which we will accomplish and come in at 10 o'clock Monday. I'll restate that in our motion to adjourn today. This resolution takes us through day 35. We will stay here after next Monday for Tuesday. Which will be day 29. We'll take Wednesday off in preparation for a crossover day, so day 30 will take place on Thursday, March the 7th. We will be in adjournment on Friday, which gives us a long weekend, return on Monday. March 11th, be here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday through March 14th. And then adjourn March 15th, then Saturday and Sunday, also March 18th and 19th, which would be Monday and Tuesday, and return for day 35, Wednesday, March 20th. And the goal would be that we would have dealt with the 14 budget within that period of time. And then this adjournment resolution will end, and we'll get more advice and information from our good friends across the way on how much time they need to deal with the budget to get it back to us. But I suspect that I want to make sure we get out of here just a little after May 5th, because that's my birthday, and I never have a chance to get wished a happy birthday by the Speaker. So that's the reason we're only going out to day 35, so we can be there. So, Speaker, I'll be happy to yield any questions. Otherwise, I would ask the
You don't appear to have any questions. You got us awfully close to the finish line. Clerk will read the caption.
House Resolution 548 by Representative O'Neill, 146, a resolution relative to adjournment for other purposes.
The measure now before this body is the adoption of House Resolution 548. House Resolution 548. Is there any objection to the question being ordered? Chair hears none. All those in favor of House Resolution 548 will vote yes. Those opposed will vote no. And the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the adoption of House Resolution 548. The ayes are 156, the nays are 0. This resolution, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore adopted, and the chair on its own motion orders that House Resolution 548 be immediately transmitted to the Georgia State Senate. House will continue to be in order. For what purpose does Representative Jaspers rise?
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to make a motion that the rules of the House be
suspended. State your motion.
That the rules of the House be suspended, that a bill may be read for the first time and assigned to a committee temporarily.
Clerk will read the caption.
Bill by Representative Jaspers, 11th, a bill being entitled Amendment Title 20 relating to local school superintendents.
On the motion of the gentleman that that the rules of this House be temporarily suspended to allow a bill to be read for the first time and assigned to committee, is there objection? Chair hears none. It is so ordered. Education Committee. What purpose does Chairman Reinders rise?
Rise to make a motion, Mr. Speaker.
State your motion.
I rise to ask for a bill to be read, or a resolution to be read for the first time and sent to committee.
Clerk will read the caption.
Resolution by Representative Reinders, 152nd, a resolution creating the House Study Committee on Professional Licensing Boards.
On the motion of the gentleman that the rules of this House be temporarily suspended to allow a resolution to be read for the first time and assigned to committee, is there objection? Chair hears none, and it is so ordered. Ways and Means. Sorry, Appropriations. Chair misspoke. Appropriations. Getting close to adjournment time here. What purpose does Chairman Weldon rise?
Mr. Speaker, I rise to request to make a motion that the rules
State your motion.
That the rules be temporarily suspended so that a bill may be read for the first time and assigned to committee.
Clerk will read the caption.
Bill by Representative Weldon of 3rd, a bill entitled Amendment Code Section 48889 relating to distribution, use of proceeds, failure to file renegotiate a certificate for local option sales and use tax.
On the motion of the gentleman that the rules of this House be temporarily suspended to allow a bill to be read for the first time and assigned to committee, is there objection? Chair hears none, and it is so ordered. What purpose does Ways and Means? That bill is assigned to the Ways and Means Committee. What purpose does Coach Williams rise?
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to make a motion.
State your motion.
I'd like a bill to be read for the first time and assigned to a committee.
Clerk will read the caption.
Bill by Representative Williams, 87th, bill be entitled Amendment Title 40 relating to abandoned motor vehicles.
On the motion of the gentleman that the rules of this House be temporarily suspended to allow a bill to be read for the first time and assigned to committee, is there objection? The chair hears none, and it is so ordered. Motor Vehicle Committee. What purpose does Representative Jaspers rise?
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to make a motion.
State your motion.
That the rules of the House be temporarily suspended, that a bill may be read for the first time, assigned to a committee.
Clerk will read the caption.
Resolution by Representative Jaspers, 11th, the resolution proposed amendment of the Constitution so as authorized General Assembly to provide by law for election of local school superintendents as an alternative to appointment.
On the motion of the gentleman that the rules of this House be temporarily suspended to allow a bill to be read for the first time and assigned to committee, is there objection? Chair hears none. It is so ordered. Education. Clerk will read the caption to a group of privileged resolutions. The clerk will read.
First resolution is an invitation resolution. Resolution by Representative Teasley of 37th, commending Chipper Jones, recognizing March 5th, 2013, Chipper Jones Day at the Capitol, inviting him to appear before the House of Representatives floor said this is an invitation resolution being read for the first time today, being referred to Committee on Rules. Following resolutions are privileged resolutions being read for the first time today for adoption. Resolution by Representative Lindsay, the 54th Community Governor's Honors Program, recognizing March 1st as GHP Legislative Appreciation Day at the Capitol. Resolution by Representative Kelly, 16th, recognizing Cole Chambers. Resolution by Representative Kelly, the 16th, recognizing March 16th, Welch Heritage Day in Georgia. Resolution by Representative Buckner, 137th, honoring and celebrating the 90th birthday of Mrs. Allen Niesler. Resolution by Representative Pruitt, 149, commending school districts participating in the Farm to School 5 Million Meals campaign. Resolution by Representative Neal, the 2nd, recognizing commending Gordon Lee High School wrestling team outstanding season. Resolution by Representative Floyd, 99th, recognizing commending Sam Clark. Resolution by Representative Hill, 22nd, recognizing March 13th, Civil Air Patrol Day at the Capitol, commending the volunteers of Civil Air Patrol for their service, citizens of Georgia. Resolution by Representative Evans, 42nd, congratulating Angie Bolton, recipient 2013 Mrs. Lyndon B. Johnson Volunteer of the Year Award. Resolution by Representative Hitchens, 161st, recognizing commending Dr. Archie Rainey, Director of Georgia's Law Enforcement Command College, Columbus State University. Resolution by Representative Hitchens, 161st, recognizing commending Deputy Jason Michael Ross. Resolution by Representative Lindsay, 54, recognizing commending Matthew Hennessy. Resolution by Representative Scott, 76, honoring the life and memory Mr. Roosevelt Curry Jr. Resolution by Representative Scott, 76, commending Letitia Robinson, Fairview Elementary School Teacher of the Year. Resolution by Representative Scott, 76, commending Mrs. Glenn Purdue, Thurgood Marshall Elementary School 2012-2013 Teacher of the Year. Resolution by Representative Wilkinson, 52nd, recognizing commending Steve Holman, outstanding achievements through the privilege resolutions.
Is there objection to adopting the privilege resolutions? The chair hears none and the resolutions are adopted. All right, we can get, if you've signed up for an announcement, if you have signed up for an announcement or need to sign up, now's the time. Page photographs will be made at the rostrum immediately upon adjournment. Before we get into the announcements, I wanted to bring your attention to the fact that Sunday will be a special day in Henry County. It's the birthday of Representative Andy Welch. Happy birthday, Representative Welch. Chair recognizes Chairman Alan Powell for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the members of the Public Safety Homeland Security, if you're still here, we've got a meeting on adjournment in 4:15. Should be a short meeting unless you've got some questions.
Chair recognizes Chairman Parsons for an announcement.
Thank you, Speaker. Full energy, utilities, and telecommunications meetings upon adjournment. Shouldn't last long. It's going to be in room 417 here in the Capitol, 4th floor of the Capitol, over in this extreme southwest corner. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Chairman Carter for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Governmental Affairs Subcommittee of General Government will meet on Monday morning at 8 a.m. That's Jay Powell's subcommittee. 8 a.m. General Government Subcommittee of Governmental Affairs. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Chairman Rice for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Motor Vehicles Committee will meet upon adjournment in 6:06 to consider two measures. And if you're in public safety or one of the other ones that are meeting too at the same time, these are more important.
Chair recognizes Chairman Lynn Smith for an announcement. Chairman Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members of the House. This is an announcement for the full Natural Resource and Environment Committee. We're meeting Monday morning, this Monday at 8:30 in the morning in room, this is a change, in room 403 of the Capitol. Again, room 403 of the Capitol, 8:30 Monday morning. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the Chair of the Majority Caucus, Chairman Sheldon, for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Monday, the Transportation Committee meeting will have a meeting Monday morning, March 4th at 8 a.m., 5:06. And to help out with scheduling purposes, the Majority Caucus will not meet Tuesday morning. We will meet Monday. Based on the calendar, it looks like we're going to have a long calendar, so we will meet during the break on Monday, March 4th. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Chairman Benton for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Committee, Human Relations and Aging, will meet Monday morning at 8 o'clock, room 515, CLOB. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Chairman Coleman for an announcement.
Education Committee members immediately after adjournment in the anteroom. Education Committee members immediately after adjournment in the anteroom. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Chairman Maxwell for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Regulated industries, contrary to what Representative Rice said, Chairman Rice, we're meeting too. Very important meeting. 4:15, 30 minutes after adjournment or as soon as Chairman Powell gets out of the public safety meeting. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the Governor's floor leader, Representative Hatchett, for an announcement.
Monday morning, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Monday morning, 8 o'clock, Economic Development and Tourism Committee will meet in 406, the LOB. 8 o'clock, Economic Development.
Chair recognizes Representative Rogers for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Committee on State Planning and Community Affairs will meet immediately upon adjournment in room 403 upstairs. Thank you.
That appears to complete our announcements. Chair recognizes the Majority Leader of the House for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move this House now stand in recess until 5 p.m. today, at which time we shall adjourn until Monday, March 4th at 10 a.m. 2013.
The Majority Leader has moved that this House be in recess until 5 o'clock p.m. today, at which time it adjourn until Monday, March 4, 2013 at 10 o'clock a.m. All those in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed will say no. The ayes have it. This House will be in recess until 5 o'clock p.m. today and will then stand adjourned until Monday morning, March 4 at 10 o'clock a.m.